In this example, we'll walk through the Chase Sale Upwind results page, and you'll notice that I'm starting off in the image table. I'm just going to take a moment to show you a few ways that you can find the images that you're looking for. One of the first ways that I like to use is to take advantage of the scene column in the image table. Here's where you'll see the scene type for each image that has been measured. So if an image has not been measured, you'll see a generic label in this column, and if it has been measured and the results are saved, you'll see the scene type. So in this case, we want to make sure we're selecting images with the Chase Sale Upwind scene. I can simply sort this column, and you'll notice that all of my Chase Sale Upwind scenes are grouped together. Now, if I wanted to apply a more specific filter set, I can use the filters over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So maybe I only want to see upwind where heel is over 18 degrees. I can apply that filter, or if I want to look at a specific true wind speed, maybe 8 to 14 knots, I can do that here. But this is good enough for me right now, so I'm just going to select the image that I know that I would like to compare. So I'm going to select this one, and I'll click the View Results button. And once the results page loads, just want to orient you to the results page layout, which is the same regardless of scene type. Up on the upper left-hand corner, we have the image name or names if there are multiple images. We also see here additional information such as the tags that have been added to the image, the timestamp, any sales that have been added from the sale inventory, as well as any of the log data. Over on the right-hand side, we have the actual results. We'll go into these in more detail in a second, but this is where they are. And then we also have the image or images in the main part of the screen. Unlike in the measure scene where you need to hold the shift key to zoom in and out, we can simply use the trackpad or mouse to zoom in and out and pan around the image. This might be really helpful if you're trying to compare images that are from different zooms and you need to maybe zoom in further so that the boats appear to be somewhat equal in size on your screen for easier comparison. Now, moving into the results, you'll see here that we are in the relative mode. So there is the ability to view relative results as well as absolute results. So relative results we'll walk through now, and we'll walk through absolute when we're done with this. So the first plot here is the chord curves. So we have the luff, miter, and leech curves if we've chosen to draw in all of those. If you've just drawn in maybe the leech curve, you'll just see the leech curve. Now, a couple of things to note here. So the y-axis is presenting the distance along the chord for that particular curve as a percentage of that chord's length. And then on the x-axis, we're presenting the distance from 1/8 points. So this curve is divided into eighths. So we're seeing the distance along the curve to the chord line measured in percentage of chord for that individual curve. And if we want to view this plot in table view, we can toggle to table view, or we can simply choose to go to full screen. So again, if you're looking at this graph with a group of people, maybe you want to see this in full screen. So you can do that there. We can also quickly identify the max depth amount and location of max depth. So for instance, we see that the max depth of the luff is 0.4% of the luff relative to the luff chord length, and it is located 21% up the luff relative to the luff's chord length. Scrolling down, we have another set of curves called the mast line curves, and this is just another reference point. So if you like to understand the distance of these different curve points relative to the straight line on the mast, this is where you would see that information. So here we have on the y-axis, we have the distance along the mast line going from top to bottom of that curve as a percentage. And on the x-axis, we have the distance, again, in eighths, along the curve to the mast line, measured in percentage of chord for that individual curve. And we have the same specific measurements if we want to identify where the max depth is. We can see that here as well. Now, shifting to the absolute mode, we'll see the same set of measurements but presented in meters rather than percentage. So just to run through the chord curves plot, on the y-axis, we have the distance along the chord line for that individual curve in meters. And on the x-axis, we have the distance from each eighth point along the curve to the chord line in meters. And we can see here, just for a quick comparison's sake, that, for instance, we looked at the luff, which was 0.4% from relative to the luff chord length. Here we have it in meters, so it's actually 0.138 meters, and it's located 7.293 meters up the luff. So again, just a different way of looking at the results, and you'll only see absolute if you put in a length reference when you measured the image. Now, just a couple of other quick things to note about the results page. If for some reason you want to tweak your measurement points or add a measurement, maybe you forgot to do a point-to-point measurement and you're really interested in the length of the main sheet, so how much main sheet was out, you can go back to the measurement page here for any of the images in this view and add that. You can also add notes, so if you want to have a running commentary with your teammates who have access to this folder, you can do that here and save these notes. And if you want to download a PDF report of the entire view, so all the images and their measurements that are included in this view, you can hit the report button.